let's close it out with Orlando Pride versus Portland Thorns FC. This one also helping to close out week 11. It kicks off on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can catch this one on CBS Sports Network, so make sure you don't miss out. Portland coming off of a big regular season win against their rivals, Noel Reign, and the Pride trying to get back in to that win column. Yeah. I gotta say, Jordan, I'm just gonna make this one quick for me.
Do it.
I don't think this is the game where they get back in that win column. I don't think they do it against the Thorns. Thorns just too good this season, like looking like a team who are trying to run it back. I'm going Thorns.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything crazy here, and I'm gonna say the Thorns as well, because I think I want to talk about Orlando though against this Thorns team, because Orlando has we've seen the only rookie player to play every single minute in this Orlando Pride team, and it's Emily Madrill, and she's been really good and settled her way into playing as a center back. And when I'm thinking about how you manage this Thorns squad, it really has to do with how organized, how good your communication is when you're in your defensive structure, and how compact you can be to deny them some of the trickery they like to have at the top of the box. So I think this is going to be the biggest test we see for Emily Madrill. And for her to say, okay, I'm going up against not just the best forward right now in Sophia Smith, but against midfielders where now I have to manage the players in front of me, and my midfielders, my sixes, which I think Orlando might need to play with 2 sixes in this match just to help protect that space in front of their center backs. Can she manage her teammates, but also the spacing, how she closes space? She has the recovery speed to get, if the ball is played through, she can get back and cover that. So I think this will be a really big test for Madrill, and not like it's pass fail, because for her, she's young and she's going to continue to use every single game as a way to propel herself in her progress in this league. So I'm interested to see how she handles this game, but just what I'm saying, you're going to be constantly thinking about how many different weapons this Portland Thorns team has. And if it's not those two people, it's Crystal Dunn, it's Christine Sinclair coming off the bench. It's how they utilize their outside backs to get in the play. It's the youngster Olivia Moultrie and what she can do. I mean, get out, Sandra. We could talk about all these players and how difficult they are. The biggest thing for the Thorns is how they manage a cross-country trip, because we saw them the last time they went all the way across, I think, was against North Carolina, and that was a 3-3 game. Yep. I called that game. It was absolutely bonkers and fun and wild. So I do think there are going to be goals in this game for the Pride. It's just, can they manage their spacing and their defensive structure against just a high-flying Portland squad?
No, I'm with you. I think that's a valid point to make. Don't ever let anyone tell you that travel is irrelevant. I think especially when you're making a truly West Coast trip to an East Coast trip.
Yeah, like opposite sides of the country.
Yeah, literally. It's tough on the body for sure. I think it's an important point that you make, one I agree with. Look, this is going to be the second time these two teams go head to head. I mean, Orlando had to open up their season against the Thorns squad, and it was not a pretty game. I mean, it was completely lopsided victory for the Thorns all the way. It was a 4-0 blowout. And Orlando looked lost. They looked like they didn't have a lot of ideas and how to counteract or react to what they were being presented by the Thorns, essentially. So I think it might be a little different. I'm with you in that maybe there's going to be some goals, and Orlando might have enough to get one of their own. But that doesn't mean I think that they're going to walk away with a win in this one. I think you're motivated by that kind of stuff. I'm more than sure and 100% positive that this team has had this game maybe marked on their calendars. They don't want to go out there and sustain another kind of demoralizing, lopsided victory. If anything, they're going to want to show that they are not the same team that they were in March, that they are now in June. And the truth is they're not. So
they're not. Right.
I'm hopeful that we're going to see a competitive match, some good individual 1v1 battles on the pitch. But again, we were talking about depth for OL Reign. We got to talk about that here with the Thorns. You mentioned it. I agree with it. It's just a really deep bench. They just have so many pieces that they can roll out there to impact the game.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see that come to light again in a match like this with the Thorns and Orlando. So I think they just have a little bit more in theirs.
I agree. One last point is you mentioned how different a team this Orlando Pride is. And I think it all pivots on that game when they won away at San Diego. They went down a goal early. They went down a goal really early, and they managed to come back and win that game 3-1. And they went down a goal early in Portland, and they couldn't find themselves back in the game. They were lost. And I think one of the things you see with some of these teams, I think Racing, North Carolina, and Orlando are three of the teams I think of right off the top of my head. They had some really tough mistakes at the beginning of the year, like really tough mistakes, shot themselves in the foot, were putting themselves in bad positions, but they kept working through that. And they said, we're going to commit to how we want to play. We're going to make some mistakes. We're going to learn from them, and we're going to get better. And I think this Pride squad has made giant leaps, and I like what they're trying to do under Seb Hines. I think he really has a good grasp on the culture, and this squad is mentally in such a different place than they were in that first game. So even if they go down a goal, I think that they are going to have the fight to get back in this in some way or shape or form, because they've also prided themselves on, okay, can we be better at home so we can get more people to come to our games and make this a really difficult place to play? But that hinges on wins. It hinges on performances. So I think they're going to come out with a good performance. It's just not going to be able to break this Thorns squad down enough.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, you know what, Jordan, we'll have to keep an eye on it, because we started off with some parity in this episode of different picks. But guess what? We're closing it out with 3 of the same picks now for this episode. So we'll see if we're correct and where our picks land in a recap.